Go grab some paper and something to write with because we are about to do an experiment. Some people waste tons of time doing activities they hate because someone told them it would save them money, and then they burn out and they decide it's not worth it, and then they'll get trapped by debt again because they don't think they can do it. Other people just never bother to try saving money because they think their time is so valuable and that all these little strategies are just not worth wasting their time on. Both of those extremes are not where the truth is. The truth's somewhere in the middle, but it's going to be different for each person. How do you find the truth? By going through these 3 steps. Step 1, you need a list of frugal activities, ways you've tried to save money in the past, ways you're thinking of saving money. There are literally dozens and dozens of things you could put on this list, so let's keep it to something reasonable. I'm gonna pick 10. And if you can't think of any tips of ways to save money, I have a whole channel full of tips. Just FYI. So here's my list real quick, but I'll be going into more detail in just a second. Next, you'll need to do a little bit of math. And yes, step 1 is harder than the other 2 steps, but believe me, if you can multiply 2 numbers together in a calculator, you're fine, you can do this step. So what you're gonna do is pick an item on your list and figure out how many times could you do that task in 1 hour? Or if it's a long task, how many hours does it take to complete? And if you don't know the answer to how long something's gonna take you, you might have to time yourself doing it. So let's use my first example, cutting my kids' hair. I have toddlers and preschoolers and babies, and they wiggle. So cutting one kid's hair takes about 20 minutes. So 20 minutes per haircut means I could theoretically do that 3 times in 1 hour. Next thing you need to do is figure out how much money this strategy saves you compared to buying something at full price, paying somebody else to do it, or paying for some other form of convenience. So in the case of cutting my kids' hair, the alternative would be taking them to the salon, and I know that here in town, the hairdressers will charge $20 to cut a kid's hair. So now I have how many times I can do it in an hour, plus how much I'm saving. You multiply the numbers. So if I could theoretically cut 3 kids' hair in 1 hour, each haircut would cost me $20. This means I have an hourly savings rate of $60 for cutting my kids' hair. See where I'm going with this? Let me do a few more, because contrary to what I thought in middle school, math can be fun. Let's look at doing my daughter's homemade Halloween costume for last year. I haven't finished this year, so I can't do that math yet. I could have bought my daughter a pretty similar Halloween costume last year for $12 on Amazon. Or what I ended up doing was buying $3 worth of fabric at the local store, and I took 1 hour to sew up a tutu for her. My hourly savings rate, because it took me just 1 hour, in this case it was a subtraction, 12 minus 3 is 9. So this was $9 per hour saved. This last example is a little bit different because well, you'll see. A couple months ago, I spent a half hour doing a little bit of research and getting on the phone with my local internet company and negotiating a lower rate for my internet bill. That half hour's worth of work ended up saving me $59 every month on my bill. So I'm just going to write that this half hour's worth of work saved me $1,416 over the course of a year. It won't be apples to apples, but as you will see when I finish this, it's still useful information. Yeah, I should just tell all of the stories. Who doesn't like good stories of saving money? Let's do it. Next, I had a problem after my 3rd child was born in that nothing fit, nothing prepartum, postpartum, maternity, nothing fit afterward. Even though this is not my first rodeo, so I needed mostly all new clothes. I went thrifting for 6 hours one day, and I got an entire new wardrobe for $84.96. And when I did the math comparable to what I would have spent new, it would have been at least $250. So you take that amount of savings, divide it by the 6 hours I spent thrifting, and you get $27.50. I also added up the collective value of all of the things I received from the Buy Nothing group that I'm a part of this year. I estimate that I spend roughly 5 minutes a week looking at the Buy Nothing group. I really am not on it very much. And that over the course of the last 18 months, I've received about $200 worth of goods. Do all that math out, roughly we're looking at $30 an hour. All right, checking for grocery markdown sales recently, and actually this is in a video that I posted recently, we found an excellent markdown sale for bacon. It was a fire sale they got this store. They're gotta get it out of the store. It's gotta go out of code tomorrow. We got 3 pounds of bacon for $2 a pound, for like $2 a pack. and it should have been $10 a pound. And it took an extra it took an extra 3 minutes to just walk down that aisle where I knew there would be markdown sales. So that means that I could have done that exact thing 20 times in a row in 1 hour. I'm not going to subject you to my mental math here on camera. I already did the math, but it's this. It was a really good sale. Here's an interesting one. Hemming pants. If my husband goes to the nice seamstress lady in the next town over, she will charge $20 for one pair of pants to be hemmed. If I try to hem one pair of pants, it takes me 2 hours. Hemming pants would be a savings of $10 per hour. I will eventually learn how to hem pants, but right now I'm a little busy with a few other things. A little busy to learn how to do the hemming. Cooking from scratch. I'm not going to bore you with all of the math I did last weekend after I cooked my family a meal of lentil bolognese. Oh, geez, I totally butchered that Italian word. I'm sorry, Italy. Lentil pasta sauce, meatballs, garlic bread, and pasta. I made all of that. So if I take the cost of all the ingredients and then I look at what that meal would have cost if I went to the local fast casual Italian restaurant that I could have gotten a very similar quality meal from, I'm looking at least a savings of $30 an hour. And then for a control, just because a lot of people think of their earnings and their wages in an hourly rate, I just wanted to write, what I would earn if I went back to work as a teacher, which is, what I'm trained to do. That's what my degree is in. If I went back today to go back and be a teacher, I would earn negative $11 an hour because I would have to pay for childcare, and I have littles, and childcare is very, very expensive. If you wonder why more people aren't going to work, part of the answer is childcare. So we have finished this section. Now let's go on step 2. All right, so now that the hard mathy part is out of the way, we are going to go down this list again, and we are going to rank each activity in terms of how much we enjoy doing that activity. And we're going to do it on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 is you loathe doing that thing, and 5 is you love doing that thing. Cutting my kids' hair. It's wrangling toddlers, not my favorite. And they're usually frustrated. So 2. Homemade Halloween costumes. I love it. 5. I will make Halloween costumes for my kids all day long. Calling the internet company. Who wants to be on the phone for a half hour with the sales rep? Nobody. Sorry, that's a 1. Not enjoyed. Thrifting for clothes. I like the hunt. I don't like how long it takes sometimes, so I'll put it middle of the road. 3. Checking buy nothing groups. Sometimes you see interesting things. That's about the best I could say for it. It's not that enjoyable. I'm gonna say 2. Checking for grocery markdown sales. Again, 2. Hemming pants, negative 5,000. No, just kidding, 1. Cooking from scratch, 5. Have you ever heard of that book, the 5 love languages? I'm convinced that guy forgot a 6th love language, which is cooking for other people, and that is my love language. I will cook for everybody all day long. Lastly, working as a teacher. If any of my students ever see these videos, I love you guys. You were not the problem. I did not love teaching though. That is a 1. Finally, step 3. We're gonna go one more time down through each of the activities, and this time we're going to rate each of them according to whether they provide any additional benefits than money or enjoyment. For example, maybe you really value things that help contribute to a community, or they're healthy for you, or they're good for your mental health. They give you family time. Whether they provide any other benefits, whether they align with any of your additional values. And just as a reminder, people have different values, and that's okay. I'm just gonna go through and show you what some of mine are. It's not a judgment if yours are different. So, kids' haircuts. I get to spend time with my kids. That's always nice, but they're not a fan of having their hair cut and they're wiggling, so we'll give this a 2. Homemade Halloween costumes. I love that I'm not contributing to fast fashion and waste because people are just gonna throw away these very cheaply made costumes at the end of the day. I value that environmental sustainability. And I also love that I can put personalized thought into what my kids like. It's going to fit perfectly because I made it just for them. And they know that I made that because I love them. And so that's really important to me. So this one gets a 5 as well. Calling the internet company. Sticking it to the man, I guess. 1. There's nothing else of value. Thrifting for my clothes means that there is much less waste going into the environment. I'm supporting local businesses. Sometimes I'm supporting a charity by supporting those businesses. 5, checking buy nothing groups. It's contributing to my community. It's helping people who don't have access to some things get access to some things. It also is contributing to less waste because a lot of the things that people are giving away in these buy nothing groups are things that they'd otherwise throw in the trash, me included. So it also actually kind of saves on my trash costs too. So I'm going to say 5. There's a lot of value in a buy nothing group. And if you aren't part of one, you should check it on Facebook and join it if you're a Facebook kind of person. I literally just have my Facebook account for my buy nothing. Checking for grocery markdown sales. I'm going to put this at like a 2 because the only thing I can say is that it reduces waste, that they're not throwing away food that could have otherwise gone somewhere. Hemming pants. If I were the kind of person who valued the I will do it all myself kind of attitude, I could give this something more. I'm happy enough to have the other lady in the next town over get some livelihood from us. Hey, it's a 1. Cooking from scratch. Now this one is a big one. This one has got everything. Extra health benefits because I know exactly what ingredients I'm putting into my food. I mean, it's healthy. It's so much healthier to eat the food that I cook from scratch than that. Also, it's a lot of the times it's time I can spend with my kids. Not every dinner, but I love cooking with my kids. And I love that it's a skill that I can start teaching them because that's important for humans to know how to cook for themselves. So 5. And working as a teacher, molding young minds, being a positive person in the lives of at-risk youth. I mean, there was a lot of good that happened at that job. I'm gonna give it a 4. So here we go. How to use this chart that you've made to determine which activities you should prioritize over others. If you have a positive number when you're talking about your hourly wage at work or your family's hourly wage cumulatively, you can kind of use that as your benchmark. We are shooting for things to be in this zone, things that save us lots of money, are very enjoyable for us, and hopefully have any other benefits. So here we go. Clearly I'm not hemming pants. And I know that I've been joking about it for this video, but there was a time when I was really trying to hem pants. A lot of clothes in this house that need hemming, so I was wasting lots of time being really frustrated until I finally said, you know what? When I looked at the numbers, the $10 an hour isn't worth it. But so if I had to pick my top 3 activities that saved me the most money on like a per hour basis, that I liked the most, and that provided additional benefits, I will be looking at cooking from scratch, hits the home run, thrifting for my clothes. My last one's a toss-up. Tell me what you would pick. Checking the buy nothing group is at $30 per hourly rate, but it has an additional community benefit I listed of 5. Or checking for grocery markdown sales. There's really not that much additional benefit. It's not that interesting, but it saved, in this particular instance, $480 an hour. This one saves more. This one's, in my opinion, better for the community and environment and other things. Which would you pick? Let me know in the comments. I'll meet you down there. And if you don't want to do that, and you just want to watch more videos, I'll put this one up for you next. I will see you there. Bye, YouTube. Sorry about my voice today, by the way.